The history of South Africa's democracy cannot be told without reference to the historic June 16, 1976 Soweto uprising. The Hector Pieterson picture became the rallying point for the international community and liberation movements. Sam Nzima, the man who took the iconic Hector Pieterson photograph, sadly passed away in May of 2018. Pursuant to his dream to leave a legacy in his memory, the Sam Nzima Foundation was set up while he was still alive. Among other projects, the foundation has plans to build the Sam Nzima Legacy Centre, where a school of excellence, Photojournalism School, early child development, a museum and community facility are going to be built. Now, Chairperson of the Sam Nzima Foundation, Thulani Nzima, joins us via Zoom. Babu Nzima, a very warm welcome to the agenda. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure it's a bit of a bittersweet moment when we get to this day for you, not only for you as an individual, but as a family as well. Talk to us about what kind of a man Mr. Sam Nzima was.
Good morning to you, and thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. A bit of a bitter and sweet memory at the same time, because sadly, as you correctly put it, Sam Nzima passed on in 2018. But it is also a proud moment for us because he captured that iconic picture that put a peg on the ground about the struggle for our democracy in South Africa. And globally, it became a rallying point that galvanized the struggle for our democracy as we see it today. So we are celebrating him today with those kind of glowing memories in mind, and with the pride that us as the family, and we believe South Africa as a whole, is equally remembering Sam Nzima with those fond memories and the sacrifices of the youth of 1976 that brought us this far. So in terms of us as a family and the foundation, we want to continue the legacy of Sam Nzima, and this we do by making sure that the background that you gave, covering the legacy of Sam Nzima and the kind of things that we want to build in the Legacy Centre, will actually depict the contribution in the life of Sam Nzima as we see it.
Let's talk about the celebrations around this particular day. I know, we hail all the struggle icons who played a crucial role on that particular day. But do you think that Sam Nzima is honored with the magnitude for his contribution?
Well, frankly speaking, our answer is a very emphatic no. He is not honored commensurate with the contribution that he has made, especially in the country. Today is June 16. The whole country is celebrating this day. And as you put it correctly earlier on, the history of South Africa cannot be told without reference to the 1976 uprisings in Soweto. At the same time, the history of June 16 itself cannot be told without reference to the man behind the picture. But sadly, the picture is better known than the man himself. And in terms of honoring him, it is 4 years now since his passing on. And as a family, we held on to the dream and the promise that we made that we will commemorate Sam Nzima. And we have done so for 4 consecutive years since his passing on. But we are on our own. This event that we are celebrating today, commemorating him, then June 16, is a Sam Nzima Foundation event. It is not a government-sponsored event. So yes, we are very clear about that. But at the same time, we are not complaining. This is what we, together with those who cared about Sam Nzima, can do at the moment. If indeed Sam Nzima was as important as we all make him to be during the time of his life and the contribution that he made, it shouldn't be the Sam Nzima Foundation organizing events of this nature and inviting important people to come and join us. We should be invited to such an event. But nonetheless, we are determined to make sure that also we bring together an intergenerational conversation that talks about the challenges that Sam Nzima went through, him together with a generation of the journalists at the time. They went through certain challenges. It took Sam Nzima 22 years to finally get the copyrights of the image that he took at such high risk. And he was not the only one that suffered that fate. But we believe that, notwithstanding the fact that today we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution in terms of media consumption and reporting, the challenges are pretty much the same. So the memorial lecture we are presenting today will have a reflection on those kind of challenges, together at the same time looking at possible solutions that you and others that are in the creative industry and the artistic industry, musicians, and I'm talking about you in the media, because Sam Nzima was a media person. We want to make sure that those kind of challenges do not perpetuate forever in the day.
Now, but Thulani, the picture that your father took, of course, has become a symbol of courage, resistance, and fortitude in defeating the apartheid system. Do you think our youth are well aware of the June 16 uprising? Given, when you walk around our streets these days, you find some youth using as a day to drink, amongst other things, to party, amongst other things. What would your take be on that? Do you think the youth of today is well aware of the struggle?
Sadly, no. It is not. The youth of today have got too many competing interests, but at the same time, they do have serious challenges of their own. My plea to the youth is that take this day very seriously. It is called a Youth Day for a reason. The youth of 1976 made a huge sacrifice. Be reminded of the fact that this democracy and the freedom that you enjoy today didn't come cheap. It actually came at a very huge price tag. People lost lives. We're talking about Hector Pieterson, a very young student at the time. So take this very seriously and defend your rights. Fight gallantly, like those students who fought in 1976 and the students who started the Fees Must Fall. Fight in a dignified manner. Be very structured in how you fight your struggles. When you are protesting about food at your university or at your institution, do not destroy the libraries, because therein lies your knowledge, and these things are not related. So celebrate responsibly. Please do not take this day as a bride day, as a day for bashes. Make sure that you respect this day, because it is very important to us. And I want to also make one observation. This day didn't start off as a youth day. It started off as the Soweto 1976 uprising. And gradually, it changed into a youth day in honor of the youth. But we must never forget the history and the origin of this day. Like many other important days, like March the 21st, we must never forget these kind of things. And the youth has the responsibility to keep this history alive and relevant.
So now let's talk about the foundation and the work that it does.
The foundation was set up in 2015. It is not a foundation that was set up in haste. It was set up at a time when Sam Nzima was still alive. And yours truly happened to be the chairperson of the foundation. The objectives of the foundation, in a nutshell, is to make sure that, number one, we protect the iconic nature and the historic significance of the Hector Pieterson image and what it means to us as South Africans, and be very proud of it. Protecting it against commercialization and other forms of manipulations that in the course of time may lose its relevance and meaning. The second thing is to make sure that we protect and keep the legacy of Sam Nzima, the man who took this picture, alive beyond his own life. We want to make sure that South Africa and the world over never ever forget Sam Nzima, the man who took this picture. It is the responsibility of the family and the foundation. But Sam Nzima came from the background of a journalist. It is for that reason that in the Sam Nzima Legacy Centre, we are going to have a school of excellence, which means the School of Journalism and Media Training. We will make sure that we touch on the rural child who has inspiration and was inspired by the likes of Sam Nzima, his bravery and naivety, to be a journalist and to capture the moments that presented history to us. So we want to make sure that it happens at this center. We are also very mindful of the indigenous knowledge systems that is very important for the people of Mpumalanga. We are going to create a museum which will be an interpretive center telling the story and the history of the people of Mpumalanga represented through the Sam Nzima Legacy Centre. It is going to be a melting pot of the different cultures that we find residing in Mpumalanga today. So we want to make sure that we keep this center very vibrant and relevant. We are going to build an auditorium inside this center, which will give people an opportunity to get together for dialogue, reconciliation, and engagement. The memorial lecture that we are having today at the Tshwane University of Technology Bombela campus will in due course be held at the Sam Nzima Memorial Legacy Centre. These are the kind of things that we want to do. So when we build a museum, we want to have a collection of the works of different photographers and media personalities, some of whose works never made it to the newspaper headlines in 1976. But there's also a history in this province of land dispossession, forced labor, and quite a lot of other things which are painful. It will be told through the Sam Nzima Legacy Centre.
You know, you're speaking about a very important element here, the element of preserving his legacy. Let's talk about maybe the work that is in the pipeline right now in terms of ensuring that his legacy is preserved. Is the foundation perhaps in talks to perhaps commission maybe the production of a documentary or a series around the history of Sam Nzima?
Yes, we're very proud to share this with you. Let me tell you exciting news. The first thing is that, yes, it has taken us a bit of time, but we are already very close to the completion of a documentary that will depict the life of Sam Nzima beyond just taking the Hector Pieterson image. Where he was born, where he grew up, when he started working in Johannesburg, and all the kind of things that people will be excited to know about the man behind this picture. The documentary is underway. Today we will present the trailer of this documentary. It will also be followed by a book that we have already started, the Sam Nzima biography. The title is called Through the Lens of Sam Nzima. And this is an exciting book. We are halfway there. We have written about 100 and something pages already of this document. Our own version of The Long Walk to Freedom is going to be the best book. Very close to that, we have already produced, and we are going to distribute this today, the children's book. Very easy reading. The man behind the camera, the cameraman that is Sam Nzima. So this is already out there. Hopefully one day we will want to give an opportunity to the youngest child, because the early child development is very important for us.
Thulani Nzima is the chairperson of the Sam Nzima Foundation. We have to thank you so much for your time, and we wish you all the best with all those plans there. And we'll be keeping a keen interest and an eye there on all of those plans. Thank you very much indeed for your time.